Episode 174 of the TV Dudes podcast, recorded March 8th, 2018. Blowing up.
You guys can't see the explosive hand gesture that Grant did, but it was really spectacular.
It really emulated an actual explosion, right?
It was the Die Hard of explosion hand gestures.
There were shadow puppet fingers, little animals that ran away in the woods in front of the explosion. It was awesome.
I went all out on this.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Really did. If we still had the live stream up, you guys would have seen it.
It would have been amazing.
Oh, man. Hey, so we tried to do a live stream of this, and that was no good. Yeah.
You know, what did we learn from our last live stream? Not afraid to fail.
Not afraid to fail, but I had a suspicion that if I didn't figure out the audio properly, it was going to fail. And sure enough, it did. Kevin Moreno tuned in real quick and went, guys, the echo's really bad. So we had to go stop on that experiment. So we intend to try and do video occasionally here and there, and another stepping stone on our journey to figuring out live streaming.
Check it back in March 22nd, about 9:30 Central, to see what goes wrong next time.
Oh, yeah. But we are recording a double dose of episodes this week, which means each episode, this week's and next week's, will be a little bit truncated.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We are accommodating the fact that a few of us will be attending South by Southwest this year, myself included, and you two not included.
Not included. Nope.
But Kyle and Ashley are both going.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, the other two TV dudes.
Yeah.
I am simultaneously jealous that you're going and super happy I will not have to drive anywhere downtown.
Yeah, at first I couldn't figure out why we were making a deuce tonight, but I'm glad to not have to park down here next week.
Yeah. It's going to be messy.
Can we never refer to making our podcast as making a deuce ever again?
I was a little unclear about that reference too.
Two of them in a row. Is that what we call it?
No, that's not.
We're not recording a.
There's got to be a better way you could phrase that, buddy.
We are not splitting a deuce on
tomorrow.
This.
We're not gonna drop a half of this deuce.
Tobias, I want you to take this tape recorder and record yourself, and then play it back and see what you sound like.
On that note, we're the TV dudes. I'm Grant.
I'm Randy.
I'm Les.
And this episode, we are going to be discussing a couple new shows that just came out. The Looming Tower is a new pre-9/11, like everything that fucked up, going up toward 9/11 series over on Hulu. Atlanta is back on FXX for season 2, and Jessica Jones has returned for season 2 over on Netflix. And while we have not had a chance to binge through it, we checked out a couple episodes where it's going to give you a quick overview of our initial impressions on that one. But before all that, I just want to remind you guys, I'm not going to go into the whole spiel, but if you guys want to help support us, we are on iTunes, we are on patreon.com/tvdudes, and you can also help our fellow shows on our Permanent Record Network.
Permanent Record Network.
I also did want to mention that we are changing a little bit of our formula up, per Randy's suggestion.
Oh, I didn't know if we were going to do this. Okay.
Randy suggested that maybe we take and move our TV discussion to the middle of the episode and have our listener questions kind of fall on the tail end, because sometimes we find that the listener questions are asking us about stuff that we are eventually going to discuss.
Also, can I put my theory of this?
Okay.
Is that it's like a meal. So our intro and some of our news, that's like the appetizers. It's the stuff to get you interested.
Yeah.
The main course is our discussion of TV. That's what we're all here for. And then the listener question is a delicious dessert. Often sweet, sometimes a little too much for everybody, but sometimes just great.
Sometimes a little hint of sassiness in there.
A little hint of sassy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's adorable, I guess, is what I'm going to say. We're going to move on to our news. So we just have a few news stories here. And
yeah, the biggest one, I think, is that they announced who's going to be writing and producing the live-action Star Wars TV show. And it's Jon Favreau.
Yeah, that guy is going to be kicking off. He and J.J. Abrams are just like warring each other to start franchises.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this.
I mean, I am only barely excited about Star Wars in general, but this is good. This is good choice. Like Disney's stewardship of Star Wars so far for me seems to be a series of decisions designed to make me grudgingly get interested in this fucking franchise again. Hiring Rian Johnson, hiring Donald Glover, Jon Favreau in charge of this. I'm finding myself going, I don't want to watch these, but you keep hiring the people that I watch everything they do.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing, has Favreau done TV before? I mean, maybe the occasional episode. I mean, obviously he was on Friends, but like, has he, since he became like Jon Favreau, has he done TV?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of him directing.
He had a hand in Revolution. No, what was the power outage?
That was Revolution.
Show?
Did he have a hand in Revolution?
I think so.
Interesting.
Maybe I'm wrong on that. Might be wrong on that.
I noticed that there's another story about today, as we're recording this, is International Women's Day, and so there were plenty of people not happy with the Jon Favreau news coming out.
I saw they mentioned that in the Screen Rant article that it's like another white man running it. And I'm like, I get that, I do understand it, but Favreau's proven himself, and they do mention that Kathleen Kennedy said he will work with a diverse group of writers and directors, and so it's not just going to be him, dictating. It's going to be a writer's room full of people. So
he seems like a competent choice after doing the Jungle Book movie, and I mean, he seems like he's proven himself on. I don't know. It seems like just shit timing on the announcement of the news, but
yeah.
I don't begrudge this guy work. He's good at his job.
As far as I'm concerned, as far as like shitty news that we get every single day, this isn't it.
No, that's no.
After last year, are we really? Does this rise to?
I did think, as an aside, it was pretty interesting during the Oscars. I don't know if you guys caught any of the Oscars.
I don't know. I don't watch award shows. That.
But Frances McDormand got up and gave a speech, and during her at the end of her speech, she had advice for everyone else who wants to have more diversity in film, and she said you need to have inclusion writers.
Yeah,
which if anyone's unfamiliar with that term, I'm sure people are now because
it was Merriam-Webster's most searched
Googled
term right after that speech.
But a writer is like when you have specific requests or demands for you to be on a project in film or TV.
Or any weird demands. Ozzy would only go on stage with
musicians.
brown M&Ms.
Yeah. The idea is like, you have to have specific M&Ms, but that was just
instead
a
of
clause
something
in there.
stupid,
it's there to make sure that they actually adhere to all of the rest of your writer.
Yeah.
And so the inclusion writer is saying like, I won't work on a set unless you guys are actively employing a diverse and appropriately
and Michael B. Jordan has already signed on to the idea. So
he has a production crew, and he said like that's going to be a mandate of his production crew. So it's like I think that's pretty interesting to see, and how that will also carry through in TV and how it might improve certain.
We talked about that a little bit on the Crazy Ex-Girlfriend episode.
Yeah,
half the writers' room is women, and that show purposely set out to have an Asian male romantic lead and to do Filipino culture and just simply because it's not done.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
But I'm just excited to see that the Star Wars live action is going forward, and it's got somebody who's got some pretty heavy geek cred running it. Grant, are you going to go see the South by Southwest Westworld experience?
You know what? No, because I can't seem to get a fucking ticket. I could wait in line.
You know what? It's probably for the best because those robots are going to kill everyone. That's the experience.
I don't know if did anybody go into this finish last season? Like, now is not the time to visit that park. Like, if you have tickets to Westworld, I'm sorry, but you missed your window.
Yeah, don't go to Westworld now.
When Westworld would have been fun.
Yeah.
So South by Southwest is this annual festival that's a big joining of you say mess a big joining of like interactive and film and music, and
there can't possibly be anyone listening to our podcast who does not know what South by Southwest is.
It's possible. Some like a lot of people like aren't like hip to what's going on in Austin.
Okay.
Or don't understand how it's not music. It's music. It's film. It's interactive. It's panels. It's like a half-assed TED Talk, music fest, craziness.
Yeah, it's this big, crazy
pop-up shops everywhere. Didn't they have a chicken thing? Didn't they have
that Better Call Saul Gus's fried chicken there?
Los Pollos Hermanos.
Yeah,
yep.
I went in. It was mediocre.
Yeah, well,
But there was no real line for it. So that's
also
cool.
the thing about Los Pollos Hermanos, they're good at meth. Their chicken is mediocre at best.
I mean, it wasn't that good.
Did you have
but
the
I
meth?
ate 40 of them.
Did you try the meth?
But did you try the meth? That's really what they're known for. It's like you go to Wendy's for the Frosty.
3 of my teeth fell out while I was eating that chicken.
That's good chicken.
But yeah, this Westworld is like they're making a little Westworld that you can walk through. I saw some pictures from like the pre-release going on today, and like people were being handed out hats. You can pick a black hat or a white hat.
Oh, man.
You can walk around. They have all this great food in there, and like the saloon. They have a piano player and all that. It looks fucking awesome. And I've always
go
enjoyed
all
the
out.
Game of Thrones South by Southwest
Yeah.
stuff that they do. So I'm like, man, I wish I was going for this.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be able to wait in line and get in. I do have a badge, so
Yeah, that was what $7,000.
the badge.
Yeah,
However much it wasn't enough for me to be able to get a RSVP to this Westworld yet.
A year ago, Grant actually worked on making an extra child that they could put up for. South by Pass.
first child. Yeah. That's
So the Rumpelstiltskin closet.
the Rumpelstiltskin. Yeah.
It'll get you into most of the shows.
So this is interesting. Fox plans to cut commercials down to 2 minutes per hour.
In a bid for people to return to cable.
Good luck with that. I mean, it's not just it's honestly, it's not the commercials that keep people from going to cable. It's
everything else about your distribution method.
yes, it's that it's more expensive, it's less convenient. Yeah.
If you narrow down amount of time someone yells at me on a public bus to a minute a week, it still doesn't make the bus in general not shitty. I don't want to watch Fox TV at the times that Fox TV comes on. I'm never going to sit down and do that again. Grant and I were talking about this before the show. Just show me commercials. That's fine. CW does it.
Yeah,
but just
sure.
put up a streaming thing that I don't have to log into and just show me your fucking content with a commercial in it.
Yeah.
This is fine. There's a better distribution method. Quit adamantly holding on to broadcasting this shit to me at a specific time.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Quit trying to make it happen.
Yeah. Quit trying to go back. We can't. Nobody wants to go back.
If the only time I can have a date with Fox is at 7:30 on a Thursday, we're never gonna go out.
Les, I'm curious. What could they do to make bus riding more entertainment? Or what could make you give up the car and go for the bus? What would be the feature they could add in?
How about saving the environment?
A lot more. More frequent buses, more scheduled. Most of my
buses.
complaints really about bus riding was awkward wait time.
So to use this analogy, if Fox went back to the rerun method and showed their new shows 5 times in the day with 2-minute commercial breaks.
If Fox managed to make their buses somehow on demand for me, where it just showed up when I wanted the bus and we went to the show, location that I wanted to go to, I made air quotes there, like we saw the live thing going, then that would work. And the technology exists
in fact, we might already have that.
Yes, where you could just a la carte let me watch whatever the fuck show I want, like CW does.
I saw that Uber is planning to have this large scale Uber that can fit multiple people on it. And people are like, yeah, it's called a bus.
That's a bus.
That's,
That's a
Amazon
bus.
is branching out into brick and mortar bookstores. No shit.
Everybody's going back, man. All right. Finally, I haven't watched this, but there's a trailer for the Roseanne revival, which is not on Netflix. I keep forgetting it's not on Netflix.
It seems like it ought to be.
It does. It's on ABC.
I guess Weird Revival is Netflix's brand.
Did anyone watch the trailer?
Nope.
Did anyone watch Roseanne?
Yes.
Yeah, I watched it back in the day, but this
actually
is only in the news just so that you can complain about Roseanne.
Oh, did you want me to talk about Roseanne? Because I'll talk about Roseanne.
I've actually rewatched some of the old Roseanne recently because it's all streaming on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved that show. My parents still love that show. That's one of the first DVD sets that my folks bought all of the seasons.
My wife loves that show.
Even the last couple that got weird. I rewatched the one where I think it's Carol, the friend the lesbian friend that comes out. Laurie Metcalf's just amazing.
Yeah.
There's a not spousal but abuse episode where she's beat up by her boyfriend and Dan beats the shit out of him and goes to jail. They dealt with some amazing stuff.
Dan dies and has a heart attack and dies.
Yeah, well, they
And
dealt
then
with that.
somehow comes back.
He comes back.
That was just weird. But when the show was doing great, I can't believe it's a Chuck Lorre show. Rewatching these now and trying to think, shit, y'all did this then? Wow. It still seems impressive to me. I am scared shitless that this show is not going to be that anymore, and it's going to fuck the legacy of that up.
And why does it suck, Randy?
Okay, so Roseanne's a crazy Trump person. Like, not just... Okay, there aren't any sane Trump people, but she's a crazy, crazy Trump defender on Twitter. And now she has said basically that Roseanne on the show is going to be a Trump supporter. And I saw some friends saying, well, maybe it's going to be a nuanced version of sort of the, why would you vote for Trump? Maybe you're not a terrible person. No, I have no interest in seeing a show that shows me that Trump voters are not terrible people. They're terrible people. And until Trump is out of office, I don't give a shit what any of your opinions are.
Yeah, there's been like 16 million New York Times pieces about how I'm just not listening to the misunderstood plight of people who refuse to, I don't know,
yeah,
understand
fuck you.
science.
I'm glad you have plight.
Like I'm really terrified that this show is just going to be really obnoxious, like digging your heels in, like no, but fuck you though.
Yeah.
As a anyway, but I don't know. I haven't watched shit on this. I'm not gonna our cartoon president this one just yet.
The best case scenario for Roseanne is that it does bring that she said that not everyone's going to be a Trump supporter on the show. That it's going to be different values, and that they do the what's the Norman Lear sitcom that I'm flanking on right now? Archie Bunker. Yeah,
All in the Family.
All in the Family. That they pull in All in the Family, and they're able to take this reprehensible viewpoint and make it interesting and use it to contrast, actual human viewpoints and
Actual human viewpoints.
and sort of like to give us a window into a world that none of us really understand unless we're terrible people.
Only she doesn't think that they're terrible viewpoints. These are actually her personal viewpoints. So I'll lay $5 down right now that the multiple viewpoints of the show is that, like Meathead, the kids are going to be more free-thinking, idealistic stuff, and then their opinions are going to get marginalized as the joke.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Like, oh, you stupid kids, Darlene, why don't you eventually learn how the real world works and become a person?
But once you grow up, you'll,
your heart will harden and open to Jesus at the same time.
When you're young, you think with your heart. When you're old, you think with your brain.
Yeah, I never watched Roseanne.
Turking my gerbs.
I have no horse in this race. I don't care if it's great or terrible. But I feel bad for people who are Roseanne fans and they're getting their revival. This would be like if Terriers came back and in the meantime Ted Griffin had become like a huge like anti-vaxxer conspiracy dude.
And now the show's about
and the whole show was about that.
That's my fear. I liked Roseanne, and I'm really worried that it's like finding out like, oh crap, you were not saying what I thought you were saying the whole time.
Yeah.
Hank and Britt have to stop all the vaccinations. trying to buy up the beach and turn it into a big
free clinic. If Britt and Katie were having a kid, it would tie right in. Oh my God, please don't do this.
So I was listening to NPR the other day, and they started talking about this show, The Looming Tower, and it was like a show I haven't heard of, and I thought, no, maybe it's just one of those like lame artsy ones. Sometimes NPR can be like, oh, we're going to talk about local plays or something.
Yeah, sure.
So
lame things like local arts and crafts, Grant.
No, I don't mean to be like that, but maybe a little bit. But they're talking about this, and then they started talking about like the people that are in it, and it's got Peter Skarsgård and Jeff Daniels, and I'm like, wait, what is this? And they're like, it's on Hulu, this new show that takes place between the FBI and the CIA, and how they were tracking everything that was going down right before 9/11. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that sounds really fascinating. Mm-hmm. And then I asked you about it, and you're like, it's already on the schedule, buddy.
Yep.
We're going to be discussing it this week. I'm like, oh, sweet.
I wanted to give it a little... there's so much stuff coming that sometimes I give stuff a few weeks so we have time to watch a few episodes. This is a Hulu show, so it's airing a new episode every Wednesday. And I figured we wanted a few episodes in the can. There are 4 as we record. I don't know how much you guys have seen.
I've seen 3.
I saw 2.
Okay, I watched all 4. and it just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
I'm really loving it. I mean,
This is a phenomenal show.
similar to some of the other recent procedurals that are so like Mindhunter, and like some of the ones that are so dark. Not so much Mindhunter, but there have been some of them. Like I watched Manhunt Unabomber. You're watching that, or People versus O.J. Simpson. Like
Yeah.
you're watching these procedurals and you're getting caught up in them, but you know where this goes. Like I knew how that fucking trial ended. I knew how that Bronco chase ended. I still watched it. Watching Looming Tower, like I kept catching myself going, no, they're gonna figure this. Wait, I know they don't figure this out. Like I know, like if you're still calling him UBL, then he does not die in this scene.
You don't think they're going to Inglourious Bastards?
I don't think they're going to get Osama in this season.
Yeah, they're just going to pump bullets into him.
But I kept catching myself every episode going, like, God, this is tightly like it's a beautifully done spy noirish thriller, and it's got that real sense of dread because you know this history a little bit, and you're seeing a lot more of how the sausage was made. Also, I know this is based on a book, and Dan
Yeah,
Futterman,
it's based on a book, and he's one
did
of the
the
guys.
FBI write this book? Because Jesus Christ, the CIA are coming off bad.
You know what I think is interesting is I watched this, and it's got elements of Homeland and 24 and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it does.
But it's almost like the opposite. You know how Homeland and 24 have sort of a right wing point of view, a little bit of like the ends justify the means. This is almost the other way. It is like the CIA guy, they go out of their way to make him sort of cartoonishly evil. They show him
Such a information withholding dick.
Wait, are you guys switching them? You mean the FBI, right?
no, the CIA. The guy that Skarsgård's playing.
Oh, that's CIA. Okay.
Yeah, that's the CIA.
I thought it was the other way around.
No,
No,
William
no.
Hurt's FBI. Or not
No,
William
William
Hurt,
Hurt.
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff
Jeff
Daniels.
Daniels is FBI.
The
That I
thing-
could conflate those actors tells me that Jeff Daniels has come a long way in his career.
The thing I found interesting is that as I'm watching, and I was watching it today, and sort of trying to put myself in this place of like, the CIA guy. We know now that he was wrong. We know he was, just evil, and that they were withholding information. But they are coming at it from different points of view. The FBI is trying to catch criminals. The CIA is trying to cut the head off of terrorist organization that requires a certain ruthlessness. And God damn it for making me be the devil's advocate here, because this is my politics.
Sure, but the point was like every time you guys get a hold of information, you act immediately on it and compromise
And blow it.
any leads
Yeah.
that we have.
You burgeon, that the FBI turns the sirens on and pulls patrol cars up wherever the fuck they're going and
So-
just barges in. Yeah.
So Grant, you're 2 episodes in. You're 3. You have not seen the camp
no.
yet. You've seen that. That's episode
Oh,
3.
in episode 3, yeah.
Yeah, because they make a big point of this Al Qaeda training camp that basically these guys are talking about how they're going to do 9/11. It's like they're talking about, well, why does the plane have to explode over the water? And you see the germ of 9/11 is being developed, and then these kids playing soccer like come in around their tent, and they kind of talk to them. They're all just kids, and they send them out. And the point is made that, okay, there are kids here and they are innocents in a way, but they are growing up around this organization that is plotting to kill Americans and thinks nothing of saying something like, well, if the plane explodes over the city, the wreckage might kill some people on the ground. And they're talking about innocent Americans and they know it and they're cool with it.
Yeah.
So I understand where you want to say, hey, we should never bomb kids. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I see where a CIA guy says, I don't care if they're not American kids, then I want to protect American kids first. I get where he's coming from. It's a villainous thing to do, and it's an ethically fucked up thing to say.
And
But
it's a power dynamic thing of like the little guys will go to extremes of guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
But I think it's an interesting notion that basically he's wrong, and we know he's wrong, but I can see where he thinks he's not.
Like on the one hand, the CIA guy that I'm wanting to rail against at all points in this show, like it's hard knowing now to watch this guy and not just yell, share your fucking info.
Yes.
Share your fucking info. We could
Yeah.
there are several of these people that are already in the country and the FBI could arrest them if you tell them. But that same guy gives a horrific plan of here are 10 sites. If you bomb all 10,
Yeah.
we are 95% sure that we will kill everybody involved with planning
Yeah.
any of this shit.
Yeah.
But we're not going to bomb 10 sites, especially when like 2 or 3 of them, I think they say, are really hard to argue that there's not civilians there.
Yeah. And they get into they get
Like,
into
do you
the thing
really
where
think he's at this sausage factory or whatever the fuck
they
it
get
is?
into the thing with Monica Lewinsky and how Clinton was accused. And I remember this at the time, was accused of basically using war as a distraction from his own internal problems.
I remember after 9/11 because I remembered the USS Cole.
Yeah.
And going, hey, I remember when all the Republicans hawking hard for war right now were saying that Clinton was only bombing brown people to distract from Combs Kane dress.
Yeah. Yeah.
And fuck all you.
Yeah, and I also want to say that the cast here, like the guy playing Richard Clark, who we all probably remember because he was heavily involved post 9/11 as well.
Yeah.
Is Michael Stuhlbarge from
Everything lately.
Boardwalk Empire, Preacher, and he's fucking great here. Jeff Daniels is great. The thing I think really works about Looming Tower is not only the politics interesting, like with the elements that we see, the lead up, all the elements of law enforcement, that kind of thing. But they really do a good job of making the personal stuff matter too. Like Jeff Daniels and his multiple families and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I find that fascinating.
It's because you loved Lone Star, buddy.
I did love Lone Star.
Yeah, Lisa had not been watching it, and she walked into the room as I was watching, just as Jeff Daniels came home, and they did the reveal of like him opening the door and it not being the same person.
Yeah.
and I went, you motherfucker. And she was like, what show are you? Like, I can't even explain it right now.
Yeah. And then the guy who's like one of the early Arabic FBI agents and his sort of romance that's going on is
Yes,
interesting.
Ali.
Yeah. Like
Ali?
all of this stuff they do a really good job of these small personal things that in the grand scope of things don't matter. The guy who the dude from The Night Of, who's playing this great is he a CIA guy? I think he might be.
Oh, yeah. What's the actor's name?
I don't remember
Bill
the actor.
Camp.
Yeah, Bill Camp. He's great.
I love Bill Camp.
Yes, he's the CIA guy that gets the computer, right?
With
Yeah.
the mustache. and
Yes.
He has to hook up with the lady.
Yes, Deborah.
Yeah, Deborah, the woman he finds in the
Deborah
wreckage.
Fletcher.
Like it's a big moment, and it's one of those things that, like, in the grand scheme of things, one person dying doesn't matter, but you get to see the personal, and you get to see how the small things affect it. And they're doing the same thing in episode 4. Where they're doing that on the other side, and I wonder if they're going to keep going that way, seeing sort of what happens when someone gets radicalized.
So once again, Hulu has managed to step their game up on prestige. This show looks good.
Oh, yeah,
like this show
looks
feels as
amazing.
classy as the Path, or classier even, or Handmaid's Tale.
It knows how to handle drama in a show that could sound a bit boring and procedural. Like,
Yes.
oh, we're just following leads, and we're gonna.
There's plenty of
follow
documentaries
paintwork-
of this
paintwork.
exact
Right?
info.
Yeah, I was really worried this was going to be boring, and it is
Yeah.
not. It is. It's really, really good, and I'm really enjoying it.
I mean, having the title, The Looming Tower, and knowing what everything's ultimately building up to
Yeah.
can work as a disservice, like you guys mentioned before, but in the opposite.
Yeah.
It makes everything that happens, like, beforehand, like, why? Why did we fuck up? How many ways did we fail here?
It
Yeah.
even makes their episode per episode victories, like even things that seem to be going right, they still, as soon as that feeling hits me of like, oh, shit, I know in the long run this still doesn't work out. So
Yeah.
how did this win? How will this win fail eventually?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Where it could make the show fatalistic and procedural and expected and kind of boring for me, it ends up because it's handled right or handled well, it ends up ratcheting up the tension. I'm like super interested in how this all comes apart.
Yeah. We were talking off mic just a second ago about how interesting, pardon me, how interesting film and television will be in 20 years, provided we make it that far. After all of the craziness that's happened already in the first year and a few months of the Trump presidency, right?
Yep.
And I was thinking, oh, wait, it's been 18 years since 9/11. So it's just almost 20 years since we felt comfortable enough that we can start exploring this topic in narrative finally.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'm like, okay, it's a 9/11 show, but I don't feel like our current cultural climate is like too sensitive to this,
Right.
that we can't watch a show that is in some ways fictionalizing and even potentially sensationalizing aspects of it.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic show though, and I'm really loving it. I'm excited to finish it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, let's move on to talking about Atlanta, which is out for its second season over on FXX. This is called the Robin season, and our
Yep.
first episode was
Alligator Man.
Alligator Man.
Which also could have been called Florida Man.
Florida Man, yeah.
Because there's that great drop in where Darius talks about Florida Man, the alt-right Johnny Appleseed.
Oh, it's so good.
It's such a good bit.
And we might need to explain for listeners at home what Florida Man is. Florida Man is the concept that every news story that starts with Florida Man,
Every
blah,
headline.
blah, blah, is one dude.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I have not gotten to see this episode of Atlanta yet.
Yeah.
I mean, Lakeith Stanfield, who plays Darius, in this show. Darius, right?
Yeah.
Brilliant. I love that he like wholly embraces this just off-kilter kooky character who and you buy that he is this guy who's just fully into all this crazy conspiracy theories and mythology.
I want to know if he's still measuring trees.
I'm sure he is.
Like, doesn't it, like first season in the first episode,
Yeah.
doesn't he ask to measure Ern's dad's tree or something
I
like
love
that?
to measure trees or
whatever.
In this one, there's my favorite moment of this entire episode. And this is a great episode. It's a fantastic episode back. Second season is starting off strong. But my favorite moment and my favorite line is they go to Ern's, or not his uncle, but like maybe it's his uncle. I don't know. But
It was unclear what the actual relationship is.
it was kind of a fractious relationship.
Is this Cat Williams?
Yeah. It's kind of a fractious relationship. There's clearly something
Cat
going
Williams
on.
is great.
Oh,
And Darius goes over. It's been a little stressful, and he goes over to him. And he's like, yeah, man, I'd say it was nice to meet you. And I think he's leading into like, oh, but this is actually hadn't been great and all that. He says, but I don't believe in the concept of time.
Yeah.
And I lost it. I was like, that is such a Darius thing. Like, he didn't even notice the stress. He couldn't say he was happy to meet someone because he didn't really think that you meet anyone. You just
I've already
them.
known you, and I will know you, and
Yeah, that killed me. The other thing I loved was when Ern is at the door talking to the cops, and the cop is like, hey, man, is there an alligator in there? And he's like, yeah. And the cop's like, is he friendly with you? And Ern gives him this look like, no.
Someone had told me that set of lines is like the descriptor about this season of like, well, there's an alligator, and they ask him if he's cool with him. No.
No. And you really have to see the expression he gets, too. He's like kind of a, well, why would you ask me that?
No, man. No.
No one's cool with an alligator.
So this opened up this new season opened up with this curious cold open of this car robbery, or this restaurant, like it's sort of like a Jack in the Box or McDonald's
restaurant / drug front.
Fast food robbery that goes on. And it's with these characters that we don't really know, and you get the sense that they're talking sort of vaguely about Paperboy.
Yeah.
It might be, or just could be anyone in the Atlanta hip hop scene who doesn't deserve to be rising to a certain level of fame that they are. But I got the impression that it was supposed to be about Paperboy. But anyway, you think that they're just going over to this fast food place to grab a meal, and all of a sudden it just breaks into a robbery, and you're like, holy shit! and then it goes into this like twist that takes it to like the surreal when this guy who's working at the fast food place jumps out of the window with
an AK-47.
Yeah, an AK-47 starts blasting at the car. Another stranger, a woman, gets out and starts screaming and is bleeding, and the car drives off. And it's like, what is going on in this whole crazy scene?
At first, I thought it was a different car. I thought that he had gotten out there and shot innocent people.
No, but who's that lady?
And then the lady gets out and they drive off, and I'm like, was she in the back the whole time? Was the plan here basically to set him up, that he shot up a car to reveal that he was a drug dealer and all this kind of stuff? Or was that just weird ass shit that was going on? I don't know.
I think it's just, Donald Glover is often, or his show is compared to like David Lynch in a way.
Yeah.
Because it'll have these weird surreal moments. And I think
invisible
this
car
kind of fits in with this a little bit. Like that it didn't really fit. It's a little off kilter, but I love that it's there.
Yeah. There's more than one story in this. There's in 30-minute episodes. There's the Florida Man lift out. There's the stuff with Alligator Man. There's the opening, and there's the sort of central meat of it, which is that Darius and Paperboy have some kind of feud going on, and Ern's trying to find a place to crash and is having trouble with it. And he runs into his uncle, Cat Williams, or not, whatever he is to him.
Yeah,
and he sort of is a vision of his future. He's like, I don't want to turn into you.
He's recognizing that to an extent. Ern is recognizing that he's a bit marginalized in his relationship with the ever-growing reputation and career of Paperboy. He's like, do I actually have a place in this? Does he need me?
Yeah.
And I think that he's feeling a little bit left out. He's given like these menial tasks, like go help out the Cat Williams character, and he's not really been able to continue proving himself. And now he's like homeless,
Yeah.
basically. So
Yeah.
it's like
Didn't season 1 end with him sleeping at the
he just got
storage
kicked out
unit?
of the
And
storage
so he
unit.
gets kicked out of the storage unit?
Yeah.
nearly going. Also, the one thing I will say, I missed Zazie Beetz. I missed her in this episode. I hope that we see more of her this season.
Do you think
Yeah.
she's off shooting Deadpool 2?
It's possible. I also think it's possible she wasn't in every episode last season either. I
Yeah.
don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's where he wakes up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like she seems like this fallback that he's not comfortable using, and
Yeah.
that whole relationship between them makes him uncomfortable.
Yeah, but I honestly was a little worried because Atlanta season 1 was just such good TV, and I worried that for the long break that maybe it wouldn't come back strong, but it came back really strong. I'm super excited for more.
I mean, I feel like a lot of pressure is put on Donald Glover
I cannot
to
imagine.
continue to just be like this perfect creative.
If what he touches doesn't turn to gold, I bet people flip out. I mean, like, seriously, the pressure on that dude in every
Yeah.
facet.
Like I listened to his first few albums when he just started Childish Gambino,
Yeah, I've
and
got
I
one.
really enjoyed them. And then I listened, I like read the reviews, and people just eviscerated.
Oh, they were, yeah.
Yeah.
When I was
like
first
how dare
listening
he
to,
be immature? I'm like, he's like 22
Yeah.
or 24.
Yeah,
or
listening
whatever.
to Royalty and Cul-de-sac and shit, like, I liked those albums, and I did not see Awaken My Love coming.
Yeah.
So there's a film. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it.
Lando?
Unfilmed to Andrew McCarthy. That is called Weekend at Bernie's.
Ah, yes.
And there's a line in this film, which in every other way is this pure all trash. But there's a line in this film where the two guys are arguing, and he's talking about, like, you got to work hard, set your goals. And the guy's like, my old man worked hard. All they ever did was give him more work. And I feel like there's some truth in that. Like, Donald Glover succeeds at so much shit that all that he ever get is more expectations from that.
Yeah, that's somewhat true. Like,
Yeah.
I honestly, I feel like if there's ever been a person to figure out how to twist out of that trap, it's going to be this dude.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I feel like if there's ever been a person to, like, oh, that's how you do sophomore albums, or that's how you do blah, blah, blah. Like I feel like if there's ever anybody that's going to dodge these pressure bullet, you know, the way that these careers just have to implode,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be this guy, because he shouldn't have. He was an actor who rapped. Like, this shouldn't have worked. And
Yeah.
then Awaken My Love got, like, legit cred.
Yeah. And now, he's writing and producing, and he's great at so
I feel
much
like on
stuff.
almost every facet, he's the one laughing
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
I think everybody really wishes the solo movie was called Lando.
I mean, of course, the other thing to remember
Yeah.
is Donald Glover was a writer on 30 Rock. Like,
Yep.
and SNL.
Took his
Glover's-
Emmy and quit.
Yeah, Donald Glover's been an Emmy Award-winning writer, so we shouldn't be too surprised.
I can't imagine having to tell your mom I'm a comedy writer, and like how many years of like convincing her to stop hyperventilating that
This is
must
it.
take,
This is the career.
and then you succeed at that and quit to go do a different unproven. There's no fucking way you make it.
Now I'm
thing.
gonna make it as an actor.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. and now I'm gonna quit Community so I can make sure I tour as a rapper no one wants me to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
the fact that he just continues proving he can do everything that he tries to do.
Yeah.
It's
And he's
still,
adorable.
like,
I still want to hug him.
I still feel like he's going to be that next person who just gives up on everything and goes into hiding.
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope he
Gonna
doesn't
some
have to Chappelle
breakdown,
out,
like, I
but
can't. Yeah, Chappelle out. There's
but
a
honestly,
video.
after listening to Chappelle's last special and the Iceberg Slim pimp story,
Yeah,
yeah, I get that. I would.
yeah. Okay, well, let's go and talk about our last show real quick. We're going to talk about Jessica Jones, which is back for its second season over on Netflix. Now, Les and I, we've seen a couple episodes. Randy hasn't seen it yet, but since it's brand new, we aren't going to get another chance to talk about this for weeks. I want to at least discuss a little bit of like what we saw here and our initial
So
impressions.
Melissa Garamandi, Televixen and FemTV just put out an article, I think today or yesterday, about Jessica Jones, probably today, about Jessica Jones and how it is far and away the best written of the Marvel Netflix shows as far as character depth and development.
I can agree with that.
I've watched 2.5. I'm almost done with episode 3 of the second season now, and I would have to agree with that. After Defenders, I didn't realize how done I was with Marvel Netflix until ads for Jessica Jones. Well, a friend of mine emailed me earlier this week, excited about it, and I went, "Oh shit! I didn't even realize that was happening this week. I barely care. If Kristen Ritter weren't still starring in this, I don't know that I'd have started it today."
Right? I watched. I keep seeing ads for Love, and I'm super excited for Love to come out.
Final
and
season.
And then I saw like Jessica Jones is coming out. I'm like,
Yeah.
But I watched this first episode, and once again, it's like any of the complaints that the critics have had, the audience has had, have not gotten through to them because this is slow and plotting and it's repetitive. And like I get the notes that they wanted to hit with Jessica Jones, and they continue to hammer it on the head. And it's no fault of her own. She's giving a fantastic performance doing it, but I'm like, yeah, she's broken, and she's going through the exact same routine we saw her do for hours.
It's that they
last
have
season.
5 of these goddamn shows at this point. Every single show at Netflix is like, or Marvel Netflix is like this. Superpowers are the worst thing that has ever happened to you, and in every scene, everyone has got the weight of the whole world on them, and it's the worst, and everything is out of norm.
It's the DC model. It's the DC Comics
they
model.
grimdark the fuck out of this, and the Wizard was my shining beam of light in the first
It was so
episode,
good.
and.
Because you get to see this chubby, goofy little nerdy dude
and
just do a
At first, I thought they're name dropping a lame ripoff. Like I love the Wizard because he's so clearly a fucking ripoff of the Flash.
Yeah.
And it's a bad ripoff. Like it's a bad name. You can't revive that now. Like he whizzes. Like what the shit?
You know how the Wizard got his powers, right?
No, mongoose blood transfusion.
Not radioactive
No,
mongoose blood.
and they have him have a mongoose.
It's a pet mongoose.
He has a pet mongoose in
amazing.
this. So I loved that he shows up, and I thought, oh, they're just name dropping a dude in a yellow yellow hoodie, but he's not really. Then he legit has powers. when he runs, I love her. That was one of my favorite moments in the first. I think it's in the first episode or second episode, maybe.
This is the first one.
And of course they sideline him pretty much immediately,
Yeah, it's very disappointing.
so that we can go back to grimdarking.
that this show about a superhero who has powers, so much of it is spent with her just belly aching and whining and drinking. And like you said, there's no joy to this show.
No.
But beyond that, there's no powers to this show.
Yeah, she punches through a car hood. She breaks up. Well,
Why is Marvel even in the name?
so in halfway through the third episode, or maybe I might be in the start of the fourth. They did the one thing from the first season that made me like legit irritated pissed off at the show. In the first season, I felt like after they hyped up what the meds did to Will Simpson, and how bad like you can't control this and everything, and then Trish fucking took them, right?
Yeah.
She bears zero consequence in the first season from doing that. After that amount of telling me, like Chekhov's gunning that to me, that like this is what the pills do, this is what the pills do, there's stakes. Trish takes them, saves people, and bears no consequence from it. So in this season,
it only reacts to the Y chromosome.
exactly, yeah, something. Yeah. So in this season, they have Will show up alive, which irritated me, but it's comics, whatever. He has an inhaler, which is like the 2.0 version of the pills he was on, right? Mm-hmm. And as soon as Trish is holding it, I was like, oh, so we've got a countdown timer going until you inhale that for no reason. Then she does, and the only thing she does with this, I assume, insanely dangerous, fucked up thing that every other facet of the show is spent explaining how the company that made this basically destroyed whatever good person Jessica could have been. Like, they're the worst thing that has ever happened to humanity ever. You have an inhaler made by them. You inhale it because fuck the risks. You just want to be special. It's like a drug. And then she runs into the room where Jessica's trying to find a homeless person.
Yeah.
And she does the inhaler so that she superpowers up. She runs into the room. She tasers someone, and that's it. She doesn't use those powers. There's no payoff for this risk. She, of course, bears no, not that I've seen yet, consequence from inhaling it. But she doesn't even really use it. I'm sitting there watching it going, oh, cool, you brought back the one thing that pissed me off from season 1 for no reason. Like, that... On the one hand, this show is better written than the other Netflix shows, but on the other hand, from the start of Daredevil till now, they have systematically taken everything I didn't like that they were doing and doubled down on those things while working to strip away any of the fun shit that would make it cool for me.
I mean, it just feels like, what's the name of the dude who's running Marvel TV?
Jeff Loeb.
Jeff Loeb. He's terrible.
He's terrible.
He's god awful. He doesn't know how to manage this ship and how to regulate the quality. I like the quality of shows that Netflix delivers.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel's an anomaly.
Yes.
Like, it doesn't make sense that Marvel
Almost
shows
everything
aren't
else on
even
Netflix
there.
is better written than this.
Yeah, and Marvel or Netflix just must be giving a shrug, man. Like, we're gonna let Marvel do what Marvel does.
And I loved Daredevil season 1. It had some problems, but I overall I really loved it. And turns out 5 more shows that are that dark or worse is not what I want.
Daredevil brooding, I get it.
Yeah. Not every single.
He can be moody, but sometimes he can also be optimistic.
But you've got Foggy in there, and you had Karen in there, but they expand. It's like, oh, brooding's working. Let's expand it to everybody.
Yeah,
because I'm watching Trinity die in this season of Jessica Jones. Like watching Jerry Hogarth have like deal with her own problems and shit, and she's got her own shit going on. Like every goddamn plot line in this is tragic as fuck.
Yeah. I'm just already underwhelmed, and it's once again the Marvel problem. And I hope that when Disney opens up its new shop and these Marvel shows have to drop off of the Netflix radar, they just reboot this whole thing, because what they've done here is no good.
What they've done with Runaways is worse by the end of that season, and it doesn't give me any faith that they can jump platform and do this better. It really worries me about how Marvel can't seem to write their shows on TV.
I like Runaways.
The back half of that season is fucking terrible.
I agree with you.
The parking lot school standoff with the drill is the dumbest choreographed fight I've ever seen in my entire life.
Let's all line up like it's the beginning of the X-Men intro sequence.
Like, yeah, it was badly choreographed. It was a bad fight. It broke characterization. Why is the drill there? How did this show get so stupid in one move? I assume that the writers' room were all like chloroformed and the heroes' writers' room just stepped in.
I don't know. It's just fucking god awful.
I fucking hated Runaways by the end of that season.
All right, let's take a quick break and we'll answer some dessert-esque listener questions.
Yeah, there better be dessert.
All right, guys, we got some listener questions, and we actually took all the listener questions that you guys gave us, and we split it between this episode and next episode. So if you don't hear your question answered or asked this episode, tune in next week.
It's podcast magic.
First question comes to us from Paul Mampilli, who says, so this is a reverse of my question from last week. What are great characters in awful shows?
So I think Les and I are in similar mind here, which is that we racked our brains a little bit, and both of us were like, no, if I hate the show, I hate everybody in that show.
I find myself having like great actors in awful shows where
sure.
I'm rooting for the show to get canceled so that it'll free someone from their contract to move to a different
that I get
show.
all the time. Actors I want, but characters usually, yeah. I mean, like Allison Janney and Mom. I didn't really care about a character in Mom, but I want Allison Janney to be free.
Yeah. Well, I thought of Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead is a fantastic character.
Yeah.
Norman Reedus, how he portrays him, is amazing, but the weight they give to that one character just doesn't seem to match what they've done with all the other characters, where they just make them all sloppy. He seems consistently intriguing, and I don't know how much of that is solely how Norman Reedus chooses to play it, but like the demons he carries with him, it all like plays out to his benefit and to the show's benefit. Mm-hmm. Another one I was thinking of is Joel Kinnaman's Holder character from The Killing.
I agree with that too.
I thought, the show is just this sad, bleak thing. And Joel Kinnaman, I think, as an actor himself, can be a bit of a mixed bag. But this like tall, lanky, kind of white, trashy doofus detective that he plays, who has his own kind of baggage, but he has a good heart and knows his strengths and is a good like teammate to Lindemann. I thought he was a really fantastic character there.
Yeah, I agree.
I was like, okay, what about characters from Sons of Anarchy? Because that's my favorite whipping bag. And Ron Perlman's Clay Morrow was pretty great.
I'm blanking on her name, but Jax's love interest, eventual wife that...
yeah.
I liked her character on Sons because of all the unbelievable character arcs that happened on that show and some of the more just schlocky shit that occurred on it. Her arc from wanting out and wanting him out to the moment where there's an end of a season where he and her sit and they're exactly as Gemma and his father were in a photo, and you realize like, oh shit, it took you 5 years, but you are Gemma. Like you have become the woman you hate. Was a beautiful move, and yeah, overall that show did not do any other characters quite that well.
And then of course there are shows where like everybody's bad except for like Lost. I mean, you got Nikki and Paolo in Lost, and they're really the standouts.
Next question. next question. Randy's trolling me.
Oh,
Next
Nikki
question.
and Paolo.
All right, Nick Ty says, Randy, since you own a comic and game shop, I was wondering if you knew of fun board games based on TV shows. He says, P.S. My gaming group and I are greatly enjoying the Almost Got 'Em Batman the Animated Series card game we picked up at your store last year. So, yeah, do you have any other like TV show related
networks.
board games?
At my store, Rogues Gallery Comics and Games in Round Rock, Texas.
Nice plug.
There actually are a series, IDW, which are the guys who have a lot of the comic rights. They've done a series of TV shows and movies and things you would like. They did a Godfather game. But they've done Orphan Black. They've done X-Files. There was there's been a few games. Unfortunately, none of them are good. They're all pretty terrible games.
There's a couple versions of Firefly games.
Yeah, the Firefly game is great. Actually, that's a good point.
I've got the one where you are all basically ships. You have to move around to different planets. You pick shit up and move.
That is Firefly the game, and that is a great game. Basically, you're gathering crew. You're trying to do jobs for the various fixers. They did several the expansions that add in the movie and all that kind of thing. And that game feels like Firefly. Like you get it. You get the sense of the universe. That's probably the best of the TV games, and that's by Gale Force 9. And that is definitely what I recommend if you're a Firefly fan.
And there's also some like Flux branding of stuff. Like there's a Batman Flux, right?
There's a Batman Flux, which is basically animated.
And I got a
which is kinda
Python
fun.
Flux.
There's a Monty Python. There's a Doctor Who. There is a Firefly.
Ooh, I haven't seen the Firefly.
Yeah, they're all fun. I mean, Flux is a fun game, but it's all sort of trappings. I think that's pretty common. Is that, with the exception of something like Firefly, where they really just give you a game that feels like that universe and feels like you're playing in that world. Usually, it is they've bolted on us a license to a game engine they were building, and the game engines usually aren't their strongest.
There's a Rick and Morty card game too.
There are like 5 of them.
Okay.
And the ones I've played have been fun, but I have not played all of them. Yeah.
Jonathan Haptemichael says, Hi, dudes. I like Netflix's release schedule for Voltron, which released another season last week. Releasing 6 episodes every couple months feels less daunting to binge. With Jessica Jones Season 2 coming out this week with, once again, 13 episodes, do you think having a split season of 6 or 7 episodes released 4 months apart might be better in the long run? I still haven't gotten past episode 2 of The Punisher, and I haven't looked back.
That's the one I didn't watch at all. That's why Netflix isn't advertising Jessica Jones to me at all. I didn't watch any of The Punisher.
Yeah.
I think if you split the season, you'd get 2 chances to be disappointed by a Marvel show.
Yeah.
I don't think it would help.
Having watched 2.5 episodes of Jessica Jones, why the fuck is this 13 episodes? Why is this not 8?
Yeah, well, here's what I will say. Maybe if they were writing to a 6 episode and then have a mid-season finale and then a 7 episode one, maybe that would force the writers to at least deliver a story in a bit more of a concise manner.
Break the arc differently.
Yeah.
Because I kind of like I didn't actually realize what they were doing with Voltron. I just kept going. That can't be new.
That's it?
That can't be, well, I kept going. That can't be new Voltron. I just watched Voltron, and then going, oh shit, there's 6 more. And so it is less daunting. Like it's let me get back into that story more easily
and more bingeable.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, maybe not. I don't know. Last question comes to us from Alec Miracle, our resident super Lost fan. So
He loves Nikki and Paolo.
somehow he's gonna work Lost in here. He loves Nikki and Paolo.
Loves Nikki and Paolo. He's always talking about him.
Best character on an awful show. He says, House Season 4, Game of Thrones Season 4, Lost Season 4, and Walking Dead Season 4, questionably, are some of the high points in the aforementioned shows. I know favorite questions are unoriginal, but excluding any Breaking Bad examples, and he says that's everyone's go-to answer anyway, what's your favorite season of a television or show, or perhaps just a favorite?
Hamsterdam on the Wire.
Oh, yeah.
That's season 4.
Yeah, the Amsterdam season on The Wire.
But season 4, I mean, that also has all the stuff with the school.
Yeah.
And that is season 4, and you're right. That's the best season.
It's an amazing
of The
I
Wire.
do think like there is something to season 4s of a lot of shows where they seem to have like fully embraced what their show is about, and
Yeah.
they know how to deliver to their fans.
Yeah.
Sophomore seasons are always like a bit wonky.
You've either shit the bed and your show is terrible, or you've figured out how to do your show by then.
I'm sure if we looked at season 4 of like
Parks and Rec?
comedies are harder, but like
I
if you
bet
look
Parks
at
and Rec season 4 is
Parks and Rec,
amazing.
The Office, I bet they're both like they know their characters at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I adored the last season, fourth season of *Halt and Catch Fire*, but I don't know if.
Wait, was there was a 4th season?
Is it? I think it's 4. Yeah,
I think it was 4. It's final.
but I think it required quite a bit. Like, it's not so much the best season of the show as it is just like an exceptional payoff season to a series.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely the back half of that season is like systematic wrap up of plot lines and stuff.
Season 4 of The Shield. Yeah, that's one with him squaring off against Forrest Whitaker, I believe. Or is that 3? No, that's 4.
I think you're right.
Because
Yeah.
3 was Glenn Close. Yeah, season 4 with Forrest Whitaker. So good. And yeah, something about season 4s.
I think that's a reasonable point. Like season 2, sophomore season in general, although we're getting better about that, is where you're still clunky, or maybe you're changing direction from something that worked, and it's going to be working things out. Season 3 is when you start to get your group, and maybe quite haven't nailed down what it is. By season 4,
or maybe you're doing some cleanup from season 2 as well.
by season 4, you know what your show is.
Friday Night Lights, season 4.
Season 4, yeah.
So talking about Roseanne,
And they did a reboot with that one.
yeah.
How that's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
talking about Roseanne before, I think it's season 5 that Crystal comes out as lesbian, and they do I think it's also the assault episodes. Or I think those are all season 5 of Roseanne.
The fact that you remember like Roseanne seasons is crazy.
I've just
to me.
watched some of this. The final season of Fringe does a time jump into basically like a different paradigm world,
Oh man, it got so bonkers.
and
to me.
I love just the balls outness of doing it. Like,
Yeah.
it was all stuff they had set up in the show. So, like, if you had been watching the show so far, you went, "Oh, okay, we have time traveling people from the future. Okay, this is what this is how the world changes when someone goes back and fucks with things."
Yeah.
And it just made a wild, like, you guys got one last season, and you really just went, "Okay, we're doing it."
We're going for it. Yeah, I just remember like, what? Well,
Changed the whole intro of the show and everything.
that part was great too. Let me ask you guys: is there another just like favorite season of television you guys would pick? It doesn't have to be a season 4.
I can't think of one off the top of my head. I mean, I think
Second season of Terriers, maybe.
yeah, second season of Terrors is the best one. Yeah. Where they really
That first one was
where they
garbage.
really got into the anti-vaxxing, I think, is where that show really took off.
Yeah.
For me, Arrested
bold
Development season 1 is almost flawless. I can watch every single episode of that in different order.
Yeah.
and I love each contained episode. I love it as a whole. It's
I
just such a
still
fun
love
show.
the first season of Sports Night.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If I want like to just mainline pure Sorkin, fast like all of his trappings, just like nope, I just want to watch this like David Mamet like a play on TV. Sports Night just gets all of it in
Yeah.
one move.
Yeah.
Yeah, Friday Night Lights can do that for me too. I'll watch that first season. I'll be like, I'm on such a high, I can go ahead and plow through the second season right now.
We're nowhere near a point where I can say that it's in the best or anything, but Lisa is watching Altered Carbon
Yeah.
for the first time,
Yeah.
and I'm rewatching it now. And I expected to sit down and like, yeah, all right, I'll watch some of this with you because it's big budget sci-fi. That's cool. And I caught myself sitting down and going, oh, God, this is absorbing and amazing the second time. There's so
really?
much shit. I didn't even notice in the first episode that they're talking like explicitly about the law change they're trying to make with the religious tax and stuff. I know they said that, but I was like, there's a lot of other shit going on. And rewatching it with her, and I went, oh, my God, they mentioned that right then. And
Yeah,
she's like,
yeah.
And she goes, what? They mentioned what? She's like, I got to rewind this. It's like, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot.
It all makes sense later.
Yeah,
but
so
it's
I'm wondering like if that show's going to end up surprising me and being like a favorite thing I rewatch.
You know, the other thing I'll mention, and it's hard to pick a favorite season because I think they're all pretty good, but Parks and Rec season 3 is where the relation I think Andy and April get married. It's where they do the big carnival. Little Sebastian gets introduced. The flu season episode is in there.
They do the big Harvest Festival.
The Harvest Festival.
See, that was great.
it's a pretty great season. So I think that might be my favorite season of Parks and Rec.
Yeah. Man, we should go back and watch that show.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, let's go ahead and end things there, folks. This is our first part of the night recording, so we're going to jump into our second one. That one will probably be a lot shorter because we're going to not do news or any of that other stuff. But thank you guys for tuning in this week. Thank you, Les, and thank you, Randy. Audience, once again, you guys can help us out. Go to Patreon, iTunes, do all that other stuff. We appreciate all the love you guys have shown us so far. We'll be back next week. Not with a live show. We're not going to try and do a YouTube thing. But until then,
TV Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Permanent Record Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, please go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter at TV Dudes and help us out on iTunes by giving us a 5-star rating and writing a review. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and permanentrcrd.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.